Ever feel like things are kind of chaotic out there these days? Like too much is going on.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, what if I told you there might be some, like, wisdom tucked away in a comic book?
Okay, now you've got my attention.
So get this. The author of this article we're looking at today, they found some food for thought in Asterix and the Roman agent.
Asterix. Really? Interesting. What's the connection?
It's all about this Roman dude, tortuous convolvulus.
Volvulus, what a name.
Right. So his whole thing is like messing with the Gauls, turning them against each other, divide and conquer, you know?
Classic strategy.
And the author was like, is digital technology kind of playing the convolvulus role these days?
Ooh, that's a good one. Instead of getting all doom and gloom about it, maybe we could, flip it, you know?
Yeah.
How can we actually use tech to connect and be happier?
Yeah. So instead of like ditching tech altogether, we're on a quest for like digital happiness strategies. Because let's be real, tech's not going anywhere.
Exactly. Now, the author talks about seeing this shift in their students, right? Like less teamwork, more solo stuff. And they think it's connected to tech, like it's easier to just do everything yourself.
But couldn't it also be like maybe tech helps us build stronger connections too?
Right. Think about those online communities we all belong to. Those can be awesome. Connecting with people all over the world who get you, who share your interests, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Instead of passively scrolling, we could be actively seeking out those spaces, the ones that actually make us feel good.
Absolutely. And think about the creative stuff happening online, too. Musicians jamming remotely, artists sharing their work, people writing together from different continents. Technology is actually breaking down barriers and making it easier to collaborate than ever.
It's like amplifying our creative potential instead of just replacing it.
Exactly. It's a tool, and it all comes down to how we use it. But there's definitely potential for both good and, not so good.
So how do we like navigate the digital world in a way that makes us happier and avoids that whole convolvulus effect?
Well, I think the first step is awareness. The author brings up a valid point about echo chambers. Those online bubbles where everyone agrees with you all the time.
Right, because like it feels good to be validated, but how do we grow if we're never challenged?
Precisely. And that's where, intentionality comes in. We can make a conscious effort to seek out diverse perspectives, even ones that challenge our own views. It's about using tech to expand our horizons, not shrink them. I know it can be kind of uncomfortable, getting out of our comfort zones online, but that's how we grow, right?
It's like we're digital explorers charting this like massive landscape of the internet.
Exactly. And we might even find some new paths to happiness along the way. Because, like the author points out, tech can be a great tool for personal growth.
It's funny, right? Because we usually think of tech as like distraction and instant gratification.
Yeah.
But you're right, there are all these apps and platforms that can help us with things like meditation, mindfulness, getting outside, healthy habits.
Totally. And online learning is huge. Think about it. We have access to so much knowledge, courses, workshops, documentaries, TED Talks, you name it.
It's like we have a whole university in our pockets. But with so much information out there, how do we know what's worth our time? How do we filter out all the noise?
I think that's where discernment comes in. It's about being aware of what we're consuming and choosing sources we trust. And honestly, sometimes the best thing to do is unfollow, unsubscribe, or just keep scrolling. If it doesn't bring you joy, move on.
So it's like we're curating our own little online gardens,
Hmm.
tending to the content that nourishes us and getting rid of the stuff that doesn't.
Exactly. And speaking of nurturing, tech can also help us stay connected with the people who matter most.
Like video calls with family and friends who live far away, or group chats that keep us laughing.
Those are great examples. Tech helps us maintain those connections even when we can't be together in person. And it can help us build new relationships too. Online communities, social media, there are tons of ways to connect with people who get you.
It's true. Like I've joined a few online book clubs and I've met some really cool people that way.
So you see, tech can be a real force for connection and happiness if we use it the right way, with intention.
I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about all this. It's like we're taking back the digital space and making it a source of joy again.
That's what I love about this conversation. We're not just accepting the downsides of technology, we're actually looking for ways to use it for good. We get to choose how we experience the digital world.
It all comes back to that Roman agent, convolvulus. He's like
Uh-huh.
all the negative stuff, all the division that we see online.
Right, and we have a choice. We can amplify those negative voices, or we can choose to focus on the positive, on connection, on growth. It's about being the change we want to see in our own online worlds.
I'm on board with this whole digital optimism thing. But it's one thing to talk about it. How do we actually make it happen? What can we do to make sure technology is adding to our happiness instead of taking away from it?
Well, that's the big question, right? And honestly, the answer is going to be different for everyone, but maybe we could start with a digital detox.
A detox, like going totally offline, living off the grid.
No, not necessarily. It can be simple things. Like setting boundaries, Maybe have certain times of the day where you're just tech free, like dinner time or an hour before bed.
That makes sense. I know when I scroll before bed, I don't sleep very well.
Exactly. And think about how present you are when you're always checking your phone. Are you really there with the people around you? Or is your attention like split?
Okay, yeah. Guilty's charged. Less phone, more face-to-face. What else?
Remember those online communities we talked about? Choose them carefully, right? Like, be around positive people, supportive folks who share your interests, and don't be afraid to unfollow accounts that make you feel bad.
So, like, create our own little happy places online.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of happy places, tech can also be a great way to connect with nature. There are apps that can help you identify birds or stars or find hiking trails.
Wait, there's an app that can tell me what bird that is. I need that. See, tech can be pretty cool.
For sure. And it's also amazing for personal growth. Have you ever tried those meditation apps?
Hmm.
Or online yoga? They make it so easy to fit these practices into your life.
Yeah, I've tried a few meditation apps. It's like having a little Zen master in your pocket.
I love that. And here's another idea. Why not use tech to learn something new? There are tons of courses, workshops, tutorials online, you name it. Learning a new skill can be so rewarding.
Oh, that reminds me. I've been wanting to learn to bake sourdough bread. I bet there's a course online for that.
There you go. The possibilities are endless. It's about figuring out what brings you joy, what helps you connect with yourself and the world.
You know, we started with a Roman agent and ended up talking about sourdough bread. It's funny how it all connects. It's all about taking charge of our relationship with technology, right? And using it to make our lives better.
Exactly. And to everyone listening, I want to leave you with this. Remember, you have the power to choose. Choose joy, choose connection, choose growth, and don't be afraid to try new things, explore, find what makes you happy.
Absolutely. And speaking of happiness, I just found this book called Happiness Mantra. It's all about finding those small changes we can make to feel happier and more fulfilled. And guess what? It's 50% off right now.
Sounds like a great resource for anyone looking to cultivate more happiness both online and offline.
Well, this has been a great deep dive. We've talked about the downsides of tech, but more importantly, we've discovered so many ways to use it to boost our happiness, creativity, and connections. Remember, it's all about making good choices, setting boundaries, and focusing on the good stuff.
And be kind to yourselves. The digital world can be a lot, but with a little awareness, we can create online spaces that make us feel good. Thanks for joining us on this little journey of digital optimism.